What is up, BattleBots, Robot Wars, and BuggleBots fans alike? Hardcore Kid here with a new episode of the Hardcore Podcast. Tonight, we're going to be reviewing episode 5 of BattleBots 2019, and joining me as always, I have Otaku Nate. Hey Nate, are you going to buy that Roboteer Girl bathwater?
Go fuck yourself, Brandon.
I
thought you were gonna ask me, because I had myself a really nice staycation.
Yeah, where'd you go? Or not go?
I said I went to a bookstore in Montclair, a used bookstore.
Really? Those still exist?
Yeah. It's one of the largest used bookstores in North Jersey.
What's the name of it? Maybe we'll find those missing Servo magazines.
It's the Montclair Book Center, and I doubt they'd have those.
Dang it. Well, the quest will continue. Also joining us tonight, he's the world's biggest Witch Doctor fan, ResettisReplicas.
Hey, I got a joke for you.
Okay.
What is Adam and Mary's favorite Star Trek captain?
What is it?
William Shatter.
Very nice. Speaking of, if you're wondering who Adam and Mary is, tonight, from Team Shatter, who competed in tonight's episode of BattleBots, we have Adam Wrigley and Mary Chimenti.
Nope.
Damn it, you got it right when we were practicing.
I'm terrible with pronouncing names. Yeah, Adam, how you doing, man?
Doing good. Glad to be here. How you doing?
I'm good. Everything's good over there in New York?
New York. Got a scorcher.
Yeah, went for a bike ride, and I'm very out of shape, so I've just got my breath back.
Yeah, it's hot out there, I'll tell you that. But not as hot as the BattleBox was, I'm sure.
Not quite.
Yeah, a lot of lights in there.
Yeah, a lot of lights, a lot of flames. Good thing I have my Nestle Pure Life right here. Yeah. So, tonight is episode 5 of BattleBots, and, as far as my predictions went, I was much more accurate this time. I got 5 out of 7 predictions right, and Shatter versus Wanhu was one of my right predictions, so, yay!
Yay!
Thanks for believing in us.
Yeah, so, now, because last week was the 4th of July, and it was a holiday, there was no bonus match or bonus episode on the Science Channel, so we didn't get to see Foxtrot versus Death Roll, unfortunately.
That's too bad.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, hopefully we'll get to see it next week, I think.
Yeah, I think they said it was going to get pushed 1 week out, so...
Yeah. Well, we always say good luck, Craig, and hopefully we'll get him on the show, because he's always fun to have on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were our pit neighbors.
Yeah.
Right next.
Nice. Yeah,
but was Craig pulling his heel act?
Heel act?
Yeah, like a bad guy, total tough guy act.
He's not a bad guy. He's a nice guy.
I know. He does that as like a character gimmick. He's like, oh, I'm going to break the hopes and dreams of children. But that's all just part of the act.
He's like Ray Billings or Martin Mason.
Yeah, it's all for entertainment's sake, and that's what we love. We need entertaining guys as well as their bots.
First, can we talk about Shatter first?
Oh yeah, let's talk about Shatter, of course.
I heard about that one.
Yeah, really cool bot. It was also Mega Melvin and Blue at some point.
Yeah. We've had a few different iterations of the design.
And what improvements did you make for Shatter after for BattleBots?
So if you look back at Blue versus Shatter, first off, they're like a ground-up rebuild. So the proportions and everything are very, very similar, but all the parts are entirely new. Some of the things we've carried over, like we use the same electronics, so we have the same speed controllers, motors, gearboxes, wheels, gear ratios, and everything. Like the basics are the same. We kept the same proportions But then we sort of mixed up how everything bolts together. So we improved like the stiffness of the chassis, the mounting of the armor, and we added all the ablative armor onto it. So you guys saw all the segments in the episode about that. That was something we've been working on at lower weight classes and prototyping a little bit with Blue. We had like one piece of ablative armor we'd put on the front, and it worked well. So we just kind of put a ton on for Shatter, so a lot of that. And then just tweaking the hammer, making it a little heavier, a little longer, like we always do.
And I've always been fascinated by the omnidirectional wheels. How do you go into designing the bot so that it can actually go sideways?
So the wheels were something we wanted to do for a really long time, and they've been on the robot since the first version of Mega Melvin in 2016. We wanted to use Mecanum wheels because, I don't know, driving sideways is really fun, and everyone online said it would never work, so we had to prove everyone wrong. The first wheels we used were too fragile, but we found these new wheels. A company in China makes them. They're like super durable. They make a ton of different sizes, everything from like forklifts down to like smaller robots. So they're really, really heavy duty wheels. But the biggest thing is that each individual wheel has to be individually powered. So we have 4 wheels, 4 motors, 4 speed controllers. You do a lot of fancy mixing. And then you have to keep the wheels kind of at the corner of the robot, and the robot has to be roughly square shaped. If it gets too rectangular, like too long or too wide, it doesn't really work as well. So that's why the robot is roughly square shaped, at least where the wheels are mounted. It just helps it work a little bit better. And we've been tuning that, for years to get it right. But.
Well, you know what Christian Bale always says? It's hip to be square. Yeah.
So how? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to ask, like, what exactly is driving it like for your controller and the specific controls you do?
So the way that we control it, I use one stick to do all the driving. We have a whole separate transmitter for the weapon. So I drive, my brother does the weapon. It's a normal like drone type transmitter. We use a Turnigy 9XR Pro, but we have a special stick called a 3-axis gimbal. So at the end of the stick, there's actually a knob that you can twist. So to do the translating, you push the stick whatever direction you want, and that's the way the robot translates. And then to spin in place, you just twist the knob at the end of the stick. To do things like strafe around in a circle while pointing at somebody, you push it sideways while turning the knob, and then it'll go sideways and twist at the same time, and that's how you can get some of those fancy movements. But all the movements are in relation to the robot itself. We don't have any fancy like headless mode or things like sensors in the robot, gyros. Everything's sort of dumb in the robot. All the mixing's done in the transmitter, and any of the fancy driving we do is just adjusting on the fly as we see what's happening. So it's all like one-way communication from the transmitter to the robot.
Oh, really heavy stuff, man. I like it. Now, before you did BattleBots and King of Bots, you were also looking to compete in Robot Wars, but that didn't happen. How come that didn't happen?
So we did apply for the last season they had of Robot Wars. If you watch the original trailer for that series, there was like a 2-second clip of one of the prototypes for Mega Melvin firing the hammer. It was back when it was made out of like 80/20. We were just testing, the motor performance and things like that. They really wanted us to come out, but there wasn't a ton of budget for that season. And so they couldn't afford to fly out the robot and the team and everything for that series. There were a couple of international teams for that one special episode, but from my understanding,
let's not go there.
I was just gonna say all the robots were actually English robots.
We don't talk about that.
That wasn't fun, but
we weren't on it.
Yeah, it's okay. You got to be in King of Bots, and now you're in BattleBots, so things still came out good in the end.
Everything worked out.
Yeah. Yep, and you competed in tonight's episode. You were the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 match on the card, and you had what I'd argue is the best match on the show, I think, because it was a very nice back-and-forth match. But before we get into that match, we gotta talk about the other matches first. And we'll start off with Black Dragon versus Bloodsport.
And what a match it was.
Yeah. Before the match began, I think it was Chris who said that beforehand, the top self-riding bar actually came from Gigabyte.
Oh, and it shows. It most certainly does show.
What happened to the bar last year, Nate?
Oh, well, the bar broke off in the Desperado tournament.
And what happened to the bar in this match?
The bar broke again.
Yeah. It's the curse of the broken Chinese bar. But this match, this was all Black Dragon, and Black Dragon, it's a good machine that I think just kind of got fluked out of a win against Texas Tornado, because I think they should have won this match. There was no question who won this match. They just beat the hell out of Bloodsport.
And once again in the first match, we get the John Reed Good Hit of the Night award.
Yeah. Well,
where Bloodsport is stranded on its top, and the boys from Black Dragon, say, "Please hit us again, hit us again."
Or it was Bloodsport.
Yeah, Bloodsport said, "Hit us again, hit us again." And Black Dragon basically said, "Oh, you want us to hit you again, huh? Well, consider your wish granted." And Black Dragon just charges in, bang! Bloodsport gets sent flying almost out of the arena.
It was like the world's greatest penalty kick.
Even Katsuyori Shibata couldn't PK a guy that hard.
it was fun. Yeah, this was definitely a fun match. Some big hits and almost an SOOTA, but...
Chris called it a field goal, I think, and Black Dragon guys were probably like, "What's a field goal?"
Yeah, because they just had the soccer finals, and the U.S. won again.
Oh yeah,
woo!
Yeah, so
and they had the worst celebration picture ever for their win.
Yeah, but they had Iron Man and whoever the heck else was back there.
Yeah, it's an image that's desperate, that's just begging to be memed.
You know what we could do? We could take all the robots from the website and Photoshop them over all the faces.
Oh, that would be amazing.
That'd be a BattleBots poster. Let me tell you that. Adam, what'd you guys think of this match?
The U.S. women's national team?
No, the Black Dragon versus Bloodsport match.
Well, it was pretty wild. I mean, Bloodsport just got absolutely destroyed pretty quick. Black Dragon's a crazy robot, and that the vertical spinners, when they get a good hit, they wind up full speed, like they can just send you flying. So I don't know if I would have asked for another hit if I was laying there upside down like that. So kudos to the Bloodsport team for asking for it.
Yeah, I'd love to see them against Tombstone.
Well,
Ray would ask, "You want some more?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, we want some more."
Yeah, that would be an interesting match because two horizontal bars like that, it's sort of just who gets their height set right, and then one hit and somebody explodes.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And how highly do you rate Black Dragon as a robot?
I mean, that's the Warrior team from Brazil, and they've been doing this for a really long time. They haven't been on BattleBots, but they've been to Robo Games a lot, and so they're a good team. That's a good robot. So we definitely thought they would be pretty high coming into this season.
Yeah, so Black Dragon gets the win and goes to 1-1. Bloodsport goes to 1-1. Quite a few 1-1s on the show from here. And so now we move on to Witch Doctor versus Captain Shredderator for America.
There's not really much to say about this one. Witch Doctor did Witch Doctor things, used its voodoo to turn Captain Shredderator on its back.
Yeah, I mean, like Captain Shredderator, there is some good news. It didn't break down this time. The bad news is they still haven't given it a Shremek or made it invertible. And given that it's 2019, you'd think Brian and Nick would at least fix the bot up a little bit so that it could run either way up, or at the most put a bar on top.
I mean, isn't that a complete redesign to make it go either way up? Like, you're talking about going from a shell spinner to a ring spinner.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. You think a bar, like sticking a bar on the top, would allow it to be able to spin its way back onto its wheels?
I don't know.
Well, maybe after Megabyte does a couple more stress tests, they'll come up with one, and Shred can use that.
Part of the issue with them, and they mentioned this in their AMA, is like they use a live shaft. And I don't know if you guys know much about the difference, but Megabyte, Gigabyte, those guys use a dead shaft, which means the shaft stays still and the shell spins around it. But on Shredderator, the shaft spins along with the shell. So it's like the axle of a car. So if you were to put a post on it, like Megabyte, the post would spin along with the robot. So doing a new design to have a dead shaft would be a pretty major redesign of their entire gearbox system. I think like the strategy of not having a self-rider, like it can work. They've just got to, keep spinning, the old spin to win. It's really tough to drive those. They just pinballed a little bit too much and slowed down. They have a lot more power in the Chinese version of the robot. And I think, maybe next year they'll be able to bring that guy and they won't have as many issues with that like spin down if they can have that one.
Yeah, they told us that they got the call to come to BattleBots very soon before the filming. So I think any changes they would have made for Shredderator didn't really happen because they were all set to go to China with Tiger Claw and then kind of got looped into BattleBots. So good sports for coming, I guess.
Yeah, you can't have BattleBots without the captain. Especially since this did come out July 5th. This was perfect timing for Shredderator to appear.
At least they weren't fighting the British bot in this one.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. So, but Witch Doctor, Witch Doctor's really definitely shown that they've definitely fixed all the kinks in their bot. Like the first match they had, that was actually the first match this bot ever had because this is a completely new machine. And now it seems to be working flawlessly at this point.
Well, I say one more win and Witch Doctor gets off the prove it list.
I think it has.
They're already off for me.
Well, the Remars event was sort of a side competition, but this is like this is the prime time deal, man.
Yeah. Adam, what do you think of Witch Doctor?
I mean, I think you guys saw them at Remars. They've got a lot of power this year. I've always been a fan of vertical spinners when they put the discs way out forward with a lot of tooth engagement. I've always felt that feeder wedges on vertical spinners are negative. They just keep people away from the discs and just result in fewer hits. I really like the placement of the discs, the size of the discs. I think they spin them at a good speed. I think they've really dialed in the shape of the robot, and they've got everything working really well. So in terms of a vertical spinner, which of course is my least favorite design of all time, I do think they have pretty much like nailed it from what I would do if I were to build one.
Yeah, because Witch Doctor, like last year, it seemed like I'm actually looking at the Hexbug Witch Doctor right now. Yeah, I'm holding it in my hand right now, and this is the original design, and it looks like the wedge is a little too steep, so because it looked like they weren't really able to have much reach with it. It looks like they finally fixed the problems with the wedge, so that you are able to get underneath the opponent and also hit with the disc. And
yeah, it's interesting because they have two configs, at least that I remember, that they've seen in the first two episodes. They had the one they ran against us, which had no feeder wedge at all in between the discs. It was just 2 discs with their 2 panels on either side to block their wheels. And then they had the one they ran against Shredderator, which was their horizontal config, which did have a small feeder wedge, but it was more of an anti-horizontal attachment as opposed to like actually trying to get under people. I think a lot of vertical discs do these little like prongy feeder wedge things in the front. And I like the strategy of just run into people with your discs. You know, like old school Yeti was really into that. He just had this giant disc that stuck out the front and he'd run into you with it. And I think Witch Doctor is kind of like taking that to the extreme. Like just these 2 giant discs that stick out the front. You know, they don't need to get under you. They just whale you with these huge teeth.
Yeah, you've got Mike drifting, which is just very hard to get around because he drifts cars.
Yeah.
I suspect. I bet I'd be the same way if I had a vertical spinner. I mean, right now I just have rammers, but I just like have no sense of motor conservation. Like I got engaged in a pushing match at North Carolina, and we were at a standstill for like a long time because neither of us wanted to back down.
It was the battle of the wedge holds.
Yeah, but I mean, still, even so, it's the same idea, just about not being afraid to burn out your motors, which I probably did.
It was a solid win for Witch Doctor. They go 2-0. Poor Captain goes 0-2, and I really hope Brian and Nick are able to fix the problems in the Captain Trader, because I want to see the spot get some wins.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think we all do. For America.
For America! Yeah. How were the fireworks? Did you guys get any fireworks for the 4th of July?
Oh, well, they're setting them off in the streets of New York City, so you always get...
We took a walk in the park, and someone launched a firework, but they angled it the wrong way, and it was one of those huge ones, and it just exploded right at our feet. There were like just flashes going all over the place. It was like we're in a war zone. But
Yikes!
It
was like Ultimo Destructo was in New York.
Yeah,
New York's crazy.
Yeah. Well, you'd know, Ian. You're from Boston.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Remember, we may have a New Yorker and a Bostonian in this chat, but I want you to be on your best behavior.
Don't worry.
We will.
Philadelphia sports fans, so everyone will hate me anyway.
So the next match features the return of my dad's favorite robot, Huge versus Jasper, and I am happy to say that I wasn't the only one who thought of Buzz Lightyear, since Farouk made that exact intro.
I gotta say, I really like Tom Lloyd as a Roboteer, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he makes these really good-looking machines that, you know, great looking, but ultimately useless.
Yeah. Like, what was Jasper even going to do to Huge? Poke it to death?
This was the worst matchup for Huge.
No, this
I
was
meant
the perfect matchup.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. This was the worst possible matchup for Jasper. Yeah. Because it really couldn't do anything with that rod of its.
Yeah. Even when they tried to use it, they just got tangled up in the wheels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's when Huge is working, it works really well. And Jasper was just the perfect opponent for it to just hit it with the blade and flip it over, and that's all that Jasper really couldn't do anything. But hey,
yeah, I'm a big fan of both of these teams. You know, I've been at a lot of competitions with Huge in the Northeast, and I've been to China with the Jasper team, and so I know they're both awesome. They both have cool, unique robots that have like unique talents. I think Huge got a really, really rough matchup in their first fight. And then in their second fight, they got a pretty good matchup. And then Jasper got a really rough matchup because, you know, robots are rock, paper, scissors. And I think that Jasper is a tough opponent for a lot of people. But Huge specifically is a really, really tough opponent for Jasper. Jasper is based on like Lieutenant Bam. I don't know if you guys remember that robot from This Is Fighting Robots.
Nah, we didn't watch This Is Fighting Robots, unfortunately. We watched King of Bots, but not This Is Fighting Robots.
And we didn't watch the KFC Death Camp.
I did.
There were a lot of good robots in This Is Fighting Robots. The presentation was kind of weird, but kind of...
Yeah, I've seen clips.
Anyway, the Lieutenant Bam was literally a tank. And it looked like a tank, and it was a tank. It was just very, very hard to knock it out. And it had a similar weapon, this slow-moving pole, that it would kind of just use to self-right itself or lift up other people or just break spinners by shoving it into their spinners. And it worked pretty well. It was pretty hard to beat it. Its whole frame is plastic, like really durable plastic, and it's difficult to knock it out. Like Huge is just very specifically like targeting the vulnerable areas of Jasper. You know, it's made the tank hits from like most normal vertical and horizontal spinners, and Huge is one of those ones that comes over the top. So I felt bad for Jasper. It's not a good matchup for their first fight, but you know, it's nice that Huge can get a better matchup after going against Sonowayachi, because that was probably the best matchup for them. So you know, you just hope Jasper can get a more favorable matchup in their second fight.
Win or lose, Jasper won for having the best jackets.
I was really envious of those.
Somewhere there's a picture of Brian Nave sleeping in a Jasper jacket, so that might he was in that jacket.
So, what material is that rod made of that jams up the spinners really well?
It's either UHMW or HDPE. I feel like it might be HDPE because UHMW is harder to get in England, but don't quote me on that. It's some sort of polyethylene, though.
I'm going to say HDPE. That seems to be the default plastic for European bots, while UHMW is for us Americans.
Yeah, my mom, for whatever reason, thought that Jasper was going to win this bout.
Oh dear. How does her prediction list look like?
She and Dad were even tonight. They went 4-3 overall.
Not bad. Yeah, but not much else to say. This was a decisive win for Huge, and they definitely needed it. But yeah, Huge gets the win, and Dad's in his huge shirt jumping for joy right now.
Oh.
Yeah. So, moving on to a real clash, it's Minotaur versus Gigabyte. Minotaur put on a new drum spinner to fight the big Gigabyte, and unfortunately, this one is a little too big. It looked like it was weighing it down too much.
Mm-hmm.
You notice like whenever it hits, it looks like it's banging against the floor. It looks like it either didn't have too much clearance, or the drum was too big for the robot to handle.
Yeah, it seemed like it was moving slower than usual. Like, this is an all new design for Minotaur, is that correct?
Yeah, I believe this is a ground up rebuild for them. The drum's a lot bigger, a lot heavier. And I don't know if they reduced the clearance or what. I mean, it did look like it was running into a lot of the unleveled parts of the floor, but it also, I feel like they were having spin-up issues just due to the weight of the drum. You know, when you tweak things like that on brushless motors, like sometimes they just refuse to catch. And it seemed like they were having issues with it catching, and it seemed like possibly the floor is what was throwing that off. But, you know, they're Reobots, right? If anyone can get that stuff working, it's them. But it was really surprising to have them come out in 2 fights and not see Minotaur working at 100%.
Yeah, this was a tricky match. It was a good match, like as far as spinner versus spinner matches go. Just Minotaur is trying to land the hits, but Gigabyte is able to reflect them, send them flying. It looked like both robots were having weapon troubles, and really what it came down to was Gigabyte
was getting all the good hits.
Yeah, and Minotaur just seemed to be struggling most of the time, and even when Gigabyte stopped spinning, they could still use their wedge shape to just push Minotaur around. And I
gotta say, Gigabyte has really come back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Megabyte from the old Robo Games days, and I was very disappointed with its performance in the last couple seasons. But They seem to have fixed all the problems, because now they're 2-0. They beat the number 2 seed, to be precise, since Minotaur were runners-up last time. And Minotaur seems to have caught the bombshell curse, where it came runner-up one year, and now it's just not doing so good anymore. It's weird.
I think it's because it's a new design. I don't think Minotaur is worthy of being put on the prove it list,
No,
simply because this year's it seems like it's just an aberration for them. They'll be back next year and they'll be better than ever. And if they don't do better next year, then they'll be on the prove it list.
I also have to mention this match had the Farouk moment of the night, where I think, was it Minotaur or Gigabyte, where he compared them to Keith Richards. They just won't die.
It was Gigabyte that he compared.
Just keeps on going.
That was great.
Oh, we were just laughing our feet off at that line. Oh, Farouk's great. Ian, what did you think of this match?
Sorry about that. I was disappointed to not see Minotaur working at full strength, but Gigabyte, they've been a long time coming for finally getting more than what's their best so far? 1 win in a season?
1 win in a season, and I think they came they won 1 or 2 matches in the Desperado tournament. So yeah.
But yeah, 2-0. Really good. I guess Minotaur has to do the Desperado like every robot that lost.
When is the Desperado tournament? Is it the next episode? Because they showed a preview for it.
I think episode 8, maybe?
Yeah, that's
Desperado.
I would guess that episode. I mean, we don't know. They don't tell us.
Of course not.
But I would think episode 8.
It's halfway through the season, so I'd say 8.
Yeah, so 16 episodes in the Desperado tournament is episode 8. That makes sense. Yeah, so hopefully Minotaur gets their steam back. This is just a little setback that they're going through right now. But yeah, but it's good to see Gigabyte winning, because I really like the design.
Yeah, I as I said, I watched a lot of Gigabyte in the early days of YouTube, and boy, let me tell you, they could really kick some butt.
Yeah,
I'll always remember what Megabyte or Gigabyte was capable of after watching that fight with Biohazard, where the guy filming it would shut the hell up.
He would. You sure that wasn't you back then?
No.
Same mannerisms.
Hey, if I go to Texas for you back... If I go with you to Texas, I promise I won't be doing my own commentary.
No, Nate, I want you to do commentary for the matches. I want you to do your best Stefan Frank impression at that Texas event.
All right, fine. If I go, then yes, I will go.
All right. Yeah. So Gigabyte gets the win. Anything else?
Huge bounty.
Huge bounty. Anything else to say about the match?
I was just going to say, if you want to see more of Gigabyte/Megabyte performing well, definitely go watch This Is Fighting Robots.
Oh, yes. We'll be sure to check it out. So Gigabyte gets the win. The next match made me sad. It's Mammoth versus Uppercut.
I'm just gonna sum up my feelings on this fight in 2 words. Mammoth, no!
I have right here. I have Mammoth versus Uppercut in my notes, and all I have is butane burns. That's what I wrote for the match. Yeah, I wasn't sure how effective Uppercut would be because of how goofy the disc looked, but it managed to get hits in on Mammoth. I'm not sure if it was from reflex or what, but it somehow managed to self-right, but then it just completely fell apart. And I think apparently that they also had like butane. They said something about butane, that they have like those flame gimmicks that they can put on the blades so that they can spin the weapon up and show the flames flying. That didn't work, and then when it did work, it was right after it died. So, yeah, this was a sad match.
Yeah, I mean, Mammoth's tough. It's got a lot of weak points. So you got to drive it absolutely perfectly against a robot like Uppercut. Uppercut Do you guys watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
I've seen a few episodes.
Yeah, I know what you're about to say.
Yeah.
Go on.
3 cool guys looking for other cool guys who want to hang out in our party mansion. I can't stop thinking of that scene every time I look at that blade. Because that blade looks exactly like the bicep invitation. Must have known. It's a bunch of college students, right? I don't know.
Might be before their time.
Well, I guess all that needs to be said is that uppercut gave Mammoth a good fisting.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, like Mammoth's a very bizarre design. Like they have 0 armor. Like the stat board even says armor weight 0. But it's so weird. Like when I saw this at the Franklin Institute event, it was as Stiletto, and I'm like, how the heck is this thing going to work? And then it surprisingly it works, but like defense wise, once you get a hold of that scaffolding, it's just gonna fall apart.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm the one who makes the scaffolding joke.
Sorry, Mr. Handyman.
It's a cool robot, and when it works, and you're like, huh, I didn't think that would work. And when
my parents don't get it.
It's just fun. I mean, I like when anyone does something different. So I like that robot because it's just, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And it worked, and it punted Axe backwards out of the arena. And
yeah, they caught our reactions on that one.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, and so, I like those guys a lot. We fought them at Florida and Maker Faire. They're a fun team, fun robot. So, it was sad, but it's tough to come with a robot like that. And they're putting up a good fight.
Yeah. Ian, what do you have to say about Mammoth versus Uppercut?
Mammoth does quite well at all the events that we mentioned outside of BattleBots are events where, for one reason or another, there are no kinetic spinners.
This could make a good. Were they in the? It was the sportsman class at the Franklin.
Yeah, that was Stiletto.
Yeah, and since with 30-pound sportsman bots, spinners have like a reduction of a limit, so you can only spin your weapon up to like 500 RPM. Mammoth or Stiletto spins at only 30 RPM, so they perfectly qualify. But yeah, when you're up against a big spinner like Uppercut, this was inevitable, unfortunately.
Oh, I got some breaking news.
Ooh, what's up?
Alex, captain of Uppercut, just announced that he has won his 7th consecutive yo-yo championship.
Yay! Woo!
Hooray!
Hey,
congrats, Alex.
3 cheers for the yo-yo boy. Oh, one thing I want to mention about Team Uppercut, they made me cringe with their little intro doing the Fortnite dance.
Oh, God.
The Backpack Kid dance.
Oh.
But I have to give a shout out to that one guy on the far right who held up a sign that said, "Nope, not doing it."
Yeah.
It was sad to see Mammoth go out the way it did, but all I'm going to say is, I hope that we see even more of the spank machine, as my dad calls it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yep, so Uppercut gets the win. So another one. So Uppercut is 1-1. Mammoth is 1-1. And now we move on to the what I consider the best match of the show: Shatter versus Won-Hoo. When I say Won, you say
who?
Who?
I gotta say, my parents loved Farouk's intro for Won-Hoo.
Yeah, he makes great intros. So, Shatter versus Won-Hoo. Adam, you want to talk us through this match?
Yeah, I mean, we were definitely laughing a lot at Farouk's intro for Won-Hoo to start. That came out of nowhere. We're like, wait a minute, what?
Does Farouk come up with that himself, or does he just have cue cards that?
He's got cue cards most of the time.
Yeah, there's writers who come up with what he says.
Ah.
But yeah, so that was hilarious. We wanted to make sure we started off and didn't fire the hammer in a vulnerable spot, because Won-Hoo's a vertical spinner and they can come up underneath of us if we're hopped in the air. So we waited a little bit in the beginning until we had a good hit to try and avoid them coming up underneath of us. Eventually, they did come up underneath of us, but it was actually after we severed the spinner belt. So the spinner was still spinning from the kinetic energy, but it didn't have as much as normal. And as soon as it hit us, it kind of slowed down and stopped. So we were able to take out their belt early, which was great. We were able to keep them from getting to any of our vulnerable bits early on, which was great. And once their weapon was down, we just hammered the heck out of them for the rest of the fight. We broke off another one of their drive chains. There's actually a cool moment. It's hard to see in the fight, but we're going to post some stuff about it later. But we actually shorted out their controller, their whole like weapon motor system, I believe. It was the weapon controller, but we shorted it through their robot, through our robot, through the floor, and through the kill saw.
Wow.
Like, the whole arena was live for a second there from their battery. And if you watch it closely, it is one of the ones that they slow-mo highlight at the end of the fight. You can see the kill saws come up, and then there's like a spark that comes off our hammer. That's the moment where the whole battery like shorted through the robot. So we have a cool photo that was taken at exactly that moment. We've got
crazy
some photos of all the wires hanging out of their controller that we had hit. So that was really awesome when we noticed that watching it back later. Like, oh man, I think we like shorted through the whole arena. I don't know if that's ever happened before.
That's impressive.
Yeah. And then for like the last 30 seconds or so of the fight, after we knocked off their drive train, they're just hopping around on one wheel. We kept hammering them because, why not? We might have been able to get the count out if we had just stopped and backed up, but we just wanted to keep.
Gotta get those points.
So it was really exciting for us to come out and see the hammer perform how we know it can perform. Read a lot of comments from the Witch Doctor fight, and there are a lot of people who thought like, oh, we just weren't firing the hammer in the Witch Doctor fight, but that wasn't the case. We lost our speed controller in that fight, so we just weren't able to fire it after the first minute or so. So this fight we had power the whole time. That's what we want to do. We want to come out and just keep hammering away. So
I'm impressed by the fact that you were able to get a lot of fires in with the axe, because one of the most common disadvantages of an axe robot is that you can run out of CO2 quickly. How many hits or blows can you get out of the axe before it runs out?
Yes, we're electric, so we don't have the CO2 issue. Which
okay.
That fight, according to production, we fired the hammer 54 times.
Yeah, somebody said 54 times. I'm like, wow.
I believe we have probably enough battery power for like somewhere around 100 hits, but I think other parts of the system would start to overheat before we got to 100. Namely, the issues we have if we run the hammer too hard are the clutch. We have some clutches inside mechanically that limit the torque. And if you fire the hammer more than, I want to say, like maybe 60 or 70 times within a few minutes, those will start to get hot. And when they get hot, they get loose. And when they get loose, the hammer slows down and it just eventually stops because they get so loose that they're not transmitting any torque anymore. We sometimes have the reverse issue. If we run the robot in the cold, the clutches seize up and cause a very bad issue where everything breaks. But so they get hot and they kind of loosen, and then it kind of doesn't work. So I think realistically, the most hammer hits we could get in a fight would be somewhere probably around the 70 mark. But we were at like 54 in this fight. I mean, it's hard to even fire it that much more in a fight just because like you'd have to be right on top of them the whole fight, It
was impressive performance. What do you think of the state of axe robots today? Because it seems like these days people aren't as big into axes as in the old days, I think, because robots have now gotten stronger and axes really aren't as effective as puncturing through armor. But what do you think of the state of axes today?
Yeah, I mean, in the old days, you had less armor, and with a pneumatic ram, you could put a lot of power into a hammer, and spinners weren't really as dominant. You know, they didn't have the motors to really make them super effective. And so hammers had a very high damage potential compared to everyone else. And these days, when you run a hammer, you're just not going to get the same energy potential. You know, when we run our numbers, we have like somewhere between 1 and 2 kilojoules in the hammer, which for a hammer is a lot. But, you know, for a heavyweight kinetic energy spinner would be, you know, nothing. You know, you're talking like 50 to 100 kilojoules in these top tier spinners. And so we have what, you know, like 1/50th of the power of a big spinner. But, you know, we can hit you 50 times, and then can you take one tombstone hit to your top plate? Probably not. And so cumulatively, we can do as much damage, but we're going to do it over time instead of all at once. And we're also aiming at like much, much weaker armor. There's a lot of specific weak points on people's top panels. And so we're trying to get that repetitive hit. We want to hit you a lot because maybe one of those hits is going to hit your chain. One of those hits is going to hit your controller. And by the end of the fight, you're going to be limping around because we took out some things. You know, and that happened against Wanhu. We hit a speed controller. We hit a drive chain. We hit their weapon belts. You know, stuff is coming off of their robot gradually over time. So we're not going to get as many as those like really big immediate KO hits, but we can wear people down by hitting them whether they're not expecting it, like over and over and over again. I think there's a lot of room for hammers in the current field. You know, we can put a ton of armor around the robot. A hammer doesn't need a lot of battery power to go for 3 minutes. You know, when you put 50, 100 kilojoules of power in your weapon, every time you spin it up, you need to put 50, 100 kilojoules into it from your batteries. You know, 100 kilojoules, that'll last me a whole fight. You know, and how many spin-ups do you want? 10? Well, now you need 10 times as much battery power as me to do that. So I can put all that battery weight that I don't have into armor. And then that's how we end up having this crazy amount of armor compared to anyone else. So I can build a tank robot with a weapon that can knock people out all in one, whereas a lot of people have to do sort of one or the other. I think that the hammer has a lot of advantages. You just need to do it, you know, right. I think hammers are very tricky to get the balance right. You need to run them a while to work out all the kinks. I don't think we've got all the kinks worked out. You know, I'm not saying we're perfect, but I really like it. I don't just do it because hammers are fun. Like, I really do think that we could take it all with this design.
And you definitely showed in this match that Axebots can be effective. And Wanhu, you took out all their components and had them just limping along. And so an axe can be an effective weapon, even today.
Yeah, I think we showed in the first fight against Witch Doctor that our armor strategy can hold up for 3 minutes against like a top tier spinner. And I think we showed in the second fight that our weapon can hold up and dish out a lot of damage. And so I think you combine those and yeah, that's a winner.
Yeah. Really solid showing from Shatter. I consider this the best match of the night, although it was based on the fact that it was very back and forth. Because Wanhu, they too were also starting to get some hits in, and there was a part where they got under Shatter and slammed him into the wall. And if I don't know if you guys noticed this, but Wanhu was starting to make figure eights into the floor.
I saw that. I was wondering, like, what are all those streaks in the where are all the streaks in the floor from? Oh, that's Wanhu's tires. Oh, I see. Okay.
Boy, could you?
Yeah, they were leaving tire treads, and they were saying they didn't like that because they thought that was bad. But I actually think, you know, if you're going to run normal wheels, you want a nice soft rubber that's going to come off like that. It means like you're getting like a ton of traction, I feel like, when that happens. They did get a really good hit on us, and in the arena, that actually happened like right under our feet. And when they slammed us into the wall, I mean, like the whole arena shook. You could feel it.
Wow.
Stuff that comes across on TV, but you know, that's 500 pounds of metal coming across the arena, and they're fast. You know, you're talking about maybe 15-ish miles an hour. So imagine, you know, someone on one of those scooters that are everywhere these days going down the street They weigh 500 pounds and they just slam into like a brick. Right? That's how much energy we're talking here. So it's like a lot of power slamming into the wall directly in front of your feet. And it's pretty wild to be like, okay, now let's just fire the hammer, get off of them, keep going. You know, all this energy like right in front of you. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah, this was a fun match. I'm sure it wasn't fun for the people who had to fix the floor, but
well, we tried not to miss too much. I don't know if you could see it in the broadcast. There was definitely a moment where some of the footage where we got stuck in the floor with geez. Yeah.
And it's like, this is a metal floor. If this was a wood floor like the Motorama floor, holy mackerel.
Yeah, I don't think that would be very good.
If you've seen the like both the floors, the Motorama arena floors were just complete torn to shreds this year.
Yeah, I mean, our featherweight was getting stuck in the floor. I can't imagine what our heavyweight would do.
Oh dear. Well, but overall, you guys went the distance. Shatter got the win, and it was a fun match. Ian, what did you think of the match?
I actually had one more question about it.
Okay.
Did One Who's top protector do anything to stop your axe?
Yeah, so we talked to them at the beginning of the fight. We're like, oh, what's that made out of? They said, oh, it's made of a very hard steel. I was like, okie dokie. And then they had like a little piece in the back they bolted on from Home Depot. The whole thing was held on with some wubs. He like immediately bent it in on like the first hit. I think it did help prevent us from being able to penetrate, but the Under Armour was very, very easy. And the thing about Wanhu is that it's inside, under that top plate, it's almost like solid aluminum. It's pretty wild. Like the gearboxes, the motors, like everything is encased in more aluminum inside of the robot. There are like a few controllers and wires that are exposed, but the inside of the robot has lots of these like solid aluminum bulkheads. So we're hitting this thing and we dent in the top panel, that piece they put on top. Then we dent in what's underneath of it. And then basically all the energy is getting transmitted into these like solid aluminum bulkheads inside. We talked to them after and they're like, we couldn't take our gearboxes apart because the titanium drive shafts were bent. And so, you know, that's what a hammer will do when it hits you like 50 times, is like it just shock loads your wheels. They're a very sturdy robot. When a very sturdy robot gets hit by the hammers, then all those shocks are going right into your wheels. And so there was a lot of damage to that frame, that chassis, the gearboxes after that fight. I know Ray-san likes to say his robot's indestructible, and he'll say everything was planned from the start. But I don't think they planned for all that to happen. The top panel definitely helped. I think without that, we would have gone straight through the aluminum. That hammerhead we were running is a AR500 spike, and if we hit aluminum with that, we're going through it. So whatever that steel was on top did help prevent us from penetrating the top panel, but we dented it in, and we're putting all the kinetic energy like straight into the gearboxes, because there wasn't much cushion after the first hit. We just dented in. So it helped, but I think it just prolonged it, which is all you can ask for from Armor, really.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, this was definitely a fun match, and it's great to see Shatter doing well. And I give you guys the best match of the night award.
Woo!
And
trophy.
Usually I have these goofy certificates that I print in MS Paint. So, so maybe that's a pretty one. What's up, Nate?
Can I just also give I just want to give a big shout out to Juan, who's team captain. What a classy individual he was.
Well, that's what the sport's all about, class.
I mean, he was just so happy to be here. Like, he didn't care that his robot just got its head caved in. He was just happy to be there.
Exactly, for everybody. Yeah. He just cut a promo thanking everybody, thanking the teams.
And he got a big pop from the crowd.
He's over with everybody, and that was really good.
Yeah.
He does love the crowd. I will say, though, that's actually not the captain of that team. He's on the team.
Daniel.
But
Wait on.
Yeah,
Key.
Wait on Key is the builder. That was Ray's son who was talking because I don't think the builder speaks English. And
Yeah.
that's why when Kenny was talking to them, he was asking Ray, like, what would he say or what is he going to do? Because he's talking, like, about the captain who can't speak English. But Ray's son is, like, he's a really excited guy, really happy to be out here. He runs FMB in China, which is a different series out there. Not Death Camp and not King of Bots. So it's like a third one. So he's like really excited, really happy, wants to put on a good show.
And to be fair, we were really playing with them a lot. We have a modular attachment for Shatter where it can become a flipper instead of an X spot. So we were carrying that around the hotel, like saying we were down there. Brian Nave caught wind and then said to them, "What are you going to do about that flipper that they're putting on there?"
Yeah, they said they're not invertible with the top armor, so they were worried, like, oh no.
Yeah, we were drinking 0.0s at breakfast. We were just doing a lot of wacky stuff to kind of throw them off guard. So.
Yeah, but I mean, it was all in good fun, and
Yeah.
they're a fun team. They're nice guys, and the robot is a tank. Like I said, the whole thing is like solid aluminum.
Okay.
So yeah,
it's a tough bot. It's a good looking bot. I like the paint job and the designs to it, and the team definitely look like they're having fun. So good for them. But yeah. So Shatter wins, another 1-1 team, and Wanhu are 1-1 as well. And now we get the main event: Whiplash versus Son of Woyachi. And
boy, this was a great fight. I'm not gonna lie.
This was a match. I'll tell you. This is what Biohazard was trying to do to Son of Woyachi, but just didn't have the what do you call it? The punch, the hit, the strong push to get it in under Sal and just push it into the wall. And Matt Vasquez, he's definitely shown to be a contender. I actually think he might win the Giant Nut because just watching both matches. He's got a solid machine. He's beaten Minotaur, and now he's beaten Sal. So it's
all he needs to do is just get that giant nut.
Yeah, he's just got 2 more matches. He just getting to the top 16. I already, if he can just, I think he's got a good chance of making the top 16 just based on these 2 matches alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, although unfortunately, actually very fortunately, Whiplash almost became a victim to Floorgate when he was trying to box rush Sal.
I'm not really going to complain because the floor was a non-factor in this fight.
Yeah, because there were points where he was trying to box rush Sal, but then hits the seam in the floor, and I'm like, stupid floor. But no, he managed to hang on in there. We also had Son of Woyachi turning on his mini-bot. Just tossing it across the floor.
Oh man, that looked horrible.
Oh,
when I watched this fight live, I might have jinxed him because I was thinking, like, man, I think I said this out loud. It's like, I love how Son of Woyachi's mini bot is exactly the right height to go right under the hammers without getting hit by them. And then, like, 5 seconds later, it's like, boom! I was like, oh, jeez.
Oh, poor mini bot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was a solid performance by Matt. Just even when one of the wedges just got flipped off, he just punching into him, getting him into the screws, and all it took was that nice big flip to get Sal over. And Sal still can't self-right, shockingly, and I don't know if they can self-right.
I don't think they can.
No, but yeah, Whiplash gets the win. Good main event, I thought.
Yeah, I really like that fight. I mean, you come in, you have the box rush not work. You had the front wedge get torn off of Whiplash. You think they're like on the ropes, and then they come back and they're able to get Son of Woyachi over. It was really exciting, and I mean, you feel great for the Vasquez family. Like, they're a really great team, and you know, like Son of Woyachi, like they're a huge team. They've been around forever. Like, I guarantee there's Woyachi switches somewhere inside a Whiplash, right? Everyone buys parts from them. And so for them to come in and, like, take down Woyachi like that, I mean, you got to feel great for that team. Like, that's That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, this was a good match. What else? Is there anything to say? Ian, is there anything to say?
I've just been really impressed with Whiplash ever since they debuted it at RoboGames. I want to say 2017.
Yeah, 17.
Got second, and it was really great adaptive driving for Matt to only hit them with the plow that was still there.
Yeah. Is there anything to say? Nate, is there anything to say about this match?
It was a great main event. Very good back and forth. Either robot could have won it. From Son of Waiachi knocking off Whiplash's part of Whiplash's plow to Whiplash just deflecting Waiachi all over the battle box, but just one good flip from Whiplash, and that's what did it. It was a main event that may not have gone the distance, but lasted just long enough to be great. And as such, I'm going to give this episode right now. This is a 9 out of 10 episode for me.
Woo! Yeah, I'm going to give it a 9 too. Like, the matches were good. I had to watch this with commercials, so it kind of droned a little bit. But you know what? That's not the episode's fault. You got to get those advertisements in.
Hey, we got a FarmersOnly.com commercial.
Oh, yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, but yeah, I give it a 9 too. How about you, Ian?
Yeah, I hate to be predictable, but I'm going 9 as well. The only real downside was the huge Jasper match.
Yeah. Well, like some of the matches were a bit short, but at least we did see some nice big hits and some destruction and everything. So it's all good. And I know you guys were in the episode, but with no bias, how would you rate this episode?
Well, I rate any episode that we're in 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
No bias at all. Random chance. Any episode we're in is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did like being able to root for both Witch Doctor and Shatter.
Yeah. Yeah, so that covers episode 5, and episode 6 is next week. They showed a preview, and it made it look like it was the Desperado tournament, but they didn't really show like what the main event was going to be or anything. So, yeah, we're gonna have to wait until next week. Also, for the Science Channel airing, the next week's bonus match is going to be Texas Twister versus Axe Backwards.
Good luck, Fuzzy.
Yeah, I think he'll do all right in this match. We'll see what happens. It could go either way, depending on who's more reliable. So, yeah, this was fun. So that does it for episode 5. In BattleBots news or other newsworthy, Team Headbangers, that's my team, we're going to be going to the Texas Robot Rebellion August 4th. Next month, so I'm going to be bringing Mondo Bizarro, Revy, and Brother Nero, and we're going to show those Texans how we do it up north. So, yes. So, yeah, anything else to say? Any plugs? Any shout-outs, Adam?
Well, we got to shout out all of our sponsors. So, Frog Design, awesome place where I work for all your design needs. Mirror Precision, they do some awesome water jet cutting, all 5 axes for all your cutting needs. TMS Titanium, great place to get your titanium from. Max Amps, great place to get your batteries from. BaneBots, great place to get your gearboxes from. Who am I leaving out? Am I leaving out anybody?
Stolen Item.
Oh, Stolen Item, my friend's fashion brand. Who makes great yellow tags for hanging off of your hammer or clothing. And then, we're going to try to launch a watch brand later this year called Koos. So, Koos watches.
Nice.
Yeah. I think that's everything.
Yeah, we've got our scarves up for sale now on botsfc.com.
Oh, yeah, we just put the scarves up. So, if you guys want to get some more scarves, they're $20 plus shipping at botsfc.com.
We'll be doing a post-match write-up sometime this week.
Yeah, once I'm allowed to officially post spoilers, Because the Science Channel episode got pushed, so I'm not allowed to post anything yet.
Yeah.
And they will be spiking the prices of the scarves when it gets cold out, so buy them now.
Yeah.
Just in July sale.
Limited time sale.
Yep. So if you want to buy your own Shatter scarf, go to the Bots FC website, and you'll get a scarf there. It's a nice black and white one, perfect for Alaskan days. Yeah, so until next time, everybody. Adam and Mary, it was great having you guys with us.
Yep, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, we hope to see more of you guys later on in the show. And until next time, I am the Hardcore Kid.
I'm Otaku Nate.
I'm Resetti.
Adam, you there?
Oh,
wait.
Supposed to say something? We're Bots FC. Woo!
They're Bots FC. Peace out, and it's robot fighting time.
Did I do that?